which it did. It broke. I don't know if I would have been better off if I just waited and let it explode, but I was in the channel and I thought I could make it. So the thing landed direct lip to head contact, and I really don't know if I was knocked out, but I think I pulled my thing because I don't really have much memory, but I'm pretty sure I pulled my vest at some point, so I must have been conscious. But I came up, I remember kind of coming to, and I was on the surface, inflated, and I threw up 2 or 3 times. Like a head injury. I knew I was fucked up. You know, when people, hit their head, they throw up when they're bad. So I was throwing up on the water, and then there's another big one coming. I couldn't even swim, underneath it or anything. I was just sitting there floating. And even part of that, like my trunks got blown off, and they're on a leash on my leg, or they're on my leash tattered, like they're stuck. So I was so fucking twisted, I couldn't even see straight. Holy. I was throwing up, and that actually was my worst concussion that made me start really thinking about how concussions could be the reason that, could stop me from pursuing my big wave dreams.
What percentage, like how many other big wave surfers do you think are experiencing these types of conditions?
I mean, I don't want to make any kind of vague guesses, but it's
Albie
something.
Lair is definitely one.
Yeah, I think that in terms of the big wave surfers, it's hard for me to say because there's a lot of big wave surfers that are safe and aren't really trying to go big and get the shot. They are calculated and aren't just trying to whatever. So I think that it's hard for me to say a percentage that have it. I don't even want to say that because it's a tough thing because if I did,
there's no way to prevent. Like helmets are good for reef breaks, but they don't. Like, they wouldn't help you. They could snap your neck, I was reading.
Yeah.
If you wore a helmet on a big wave, like at Mavericks or Nazare or something, and you fell, like, that would probably more likely break your neck than protect your head.
There's certain places like, even how they have contests at Chopu and Pipeline. I'm surprised
those places should have a helmet.
I'm surprised that they're not forced to wear them.
Surprised they get insurance.
Just in terms of... what like Owen Wright dealt with, his concussions and, what happens to you afterwards. Cause it's not cheap. You have a concussion and you want to see some specialists, you're spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that, I don't know if it's hard for me to say how many people even back to that are dealing with it. But what I've learned is, when I talk to some younger big wave surfers, I just kind of try to let them know that you have to manage your time really well and not try to go huge every single session because if it's kind of ugly, but even though some of the big media people are there and they're broadcasting live or whatever, you feel like you have to go big. It's kind of like just saving your energy and just understanding that you're in it for the long term and that you want to be, this might be a 10 or 15 year journey, and by that point you could be Shane Dorian or even like a Kailani or Nathan Florence and all these guys that are doing really in John. I mean, that's the goal, I think, is to kind of be patient, understand that, it takes a long time for the ocean knowledge, your ability to, that's what's so great about watching, a lot of these younger Hawaiian guys is they're so good at riding these big boards and barrels at Jaws. I mean, when I was a kid, I always dreamed of, people paddling in, packing these big barrels. And a lot of these guys are doing it every swell. It's really, really inspiring. And one thing, it's so fucking cool to see it. And one thing, it kind of hurts me because I felt like I never got to get to my full potential.
Yeah. But the thing is,
just because I've always dreamed of that, and I actually got a couple good waves at Jaws, but there's certain places like Jaws is just what I always dreamed about. And there's even these Mavericks days but these concussions, like I felt like I was just getting hit my stride. And that's one thing that people got to be aware of is concussions is the one thing that I think could really prevent you from being a professional big wave surfer.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, once you have one, it becomes easier and easier to get concussed over time. And then it can happen on smaller days even because your brain is like butter. And it's not so much the impact, it's your brain inside the skull that's hitting it.
Yeah, I almost got knocked out by like a half a foot wave at Windansea once.
Yeah.
I was just like swimming in the shore break, and this little wave hit me so hard, I just rolled up the water. I'm like, did I just get knocked out? I didn't even know what happened.
Yeah.
And I even hit my head off the wall. And there's a few things that I had slapped my head, and it was just, I'm very sensitive. And when you start having them, you get a lot more sensitive.
Yeah, so that's like something that maybe like the WSL should be monitoring with the younger guys even early on
Yeah,
so they
it's
can
tricky,
keep an eye on
man.
that.
It's very expensive, and it's something that, you know, when I was a sponsored surfer, I had a sponsor that was paying for my life insurance.
Wow.
And that's how kind of prepared I was to kind of possibly go, you know, and thinking about that. And when you do that stuff, you're like, who does this money go to?
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, you write in Phil, and they're like, this person's phone number is this. They get half. This person gets half if I die. And so it's already, there's a lot of stuff that, you know, I had a sponsor that kind of knew, or maybe they're covering their own assets. I don't really know how that works.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bit of both, but I mean, and then there's, you know, the chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, they call it, where they can't tell until post-mortem, you know, whether you've had that.
Yeah, and I mean, Sean Dollar's done a lot of very expensive brain scans, and he says his brain looks worse than a lot of the football players, you know, and a lot of big wave surfers and surfers slap their heads so many times. And a lot of people, even me and Sean Dollar, talk about it a lot. And if anyone has concussions and are confused about this, they should go to SeanDollar.com. I think that's his website.
Yeah.
He did this specifically, wrote out everything he does.
Wow.
And all the therapy, all that stuff, just to
amazing.
just for people so they know how to get some help.
I mean, it's definitely like, it's scary to think about. Like, even like it can happen to average surfers. Like, you don't have to be surfing big waves.
But a lot of people have just brain injuries all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you get in a car crash, or you hit your head on the bike and stuff, and it can be confusing. And even when I was getting at is, me and Sean, when we had our head injuries years ago, there wasn't that many people talking about it. Not many professional surfers or people, or even if they were, there wasn't many resources. And now I feel like there's a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of people talking about it. And so, which is so freaking great about social media. Like when I started posting this stuff, I get a lot of people reach out to me, and they're like, hey, this works too. This works too. And I love social media for that, because I'm connecting with all these people that have either been through it or past it. They could tell me what works, what doesn't. And I'm just thankful for everyone just sending me their advice, because I don't have to like do everything, but I'm just like screenshotting the hell out of everything, going like, okay, I'm going to look this up and looking this up and everything.
So now I want to move on to another thing that I've really enjoyed, was your floating pool toy takeoffs that you've been doing.
Yeah. That was fun.
What was that inspiration? Was it the stab thing that inspired that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I wouldn't post that on social, but like, of course, those guys inspired me. That was the most fun video ever, the floating dock.
You got Kook of the Day as well?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that posted it, and it happened really quickly. That was not planned. It was something that I have a neighbor, his name's Raven. Yeah. And he's a photographer. His name's like Raven Aaron on Instagram or something like that. But he's my neighbor. He lives 5 houses away. And he always catches me when I'm going surfing. But one day I saw him going surfing, and we were just having a conversation. We're like, we should get some sort of raft and just do something. I went surfing, came back. He's like, I ordered it. It'll be here tomorrow. I'm like, all right. I didn't even look at it. I saw him the next day. I was really busy. I was working, and he's like, hey, I got it. I'm inflating it right now. And I was actually so busy that I didn't look at it. And this is all within 24 hours, 48 hours. This is the night. He's like, I inflated it. I'm like, all right, well, let's just go in the morning. Yeah. Let's go out 5 a.m., 5:30 before there's anyone out. And we just went down the street from my house. And I walked down to his house, and he brought it out, and it was huge. It was big ass fucking floating. And not huge, but maybe 12 feet by 12 feet or 12 by 15. He had it fully inflated, and I saw him. I'm like, holy shit. So I saw him, and he's like, I'm just going to drive with it on my car. He just held it with his hand and drove down like 5-6 blocks to the beach and pulled up to the side of the road. And I met him there, and he helped me carry it down to the sand. I'm like, well, what do you want to do? We didn't put any thought into it. Yeah. He's like, all right, well, just go out. And so I actually grabbed the handle. The only thought I put into it was that I wanted a leash attached to the raft, and then a leash attached to my board, so that just in case, because I just don't have the energy to swim in and out with that thing. Yeah. And he ran up to his car, went up, and he has a drone and launched that thing. And I didn't really want it. There's pretty good shore break where I live, and instead of putting thought into it, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna fucking go for it, whatever. And I ran out and actually made it, which is great. Like I didn't try to time it. I just like, there's no one surfing. So I ran out there, and I towed the thing all the way out. I was on my board, and I had a leash attached to that, towed it all the way out. And I surfed that wave so much that I knew exactly where to sit. Yeah. And I thought it was a certain size. I thought it was maybe 1 foot. And then all of a sudden, a 6 foot set comes, like a big set. And I thought that's kind of, there wasn't any planning into this. I got out there, I thought it was 1 foot, and there's, it's a big set coming. So that was
awesome. What sort of work do you do?
I've been working in restaurants for the past about 8 years.
And are you looking to transition now with the book and other stuff?
Oh, it's kind of funny. Yeah. It's kind of a long conversation, but I pretty much, I don't know. I've been in 3 different restaurant jobs this year.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I kept moving on, it wasn't because I was like getting fired, but like one job I got bit by a big fucking dog.
Oh gosh.
Another one I had this huge umbrella fall on me.
Oh geez.
And I broke my elbow. Certain things that happened where I just got out of it. And so I kept going to like this other place. I don't want to get too far into it, but it's tough for one working in restaurants.
Yeah.
I love food. I love cooking. I love, watching cooking shows and all that stuff, but it's tough when people are hungry and they're really rude.
Oh yeah. And customer service is tough.
And I love food too. And I worked at nice places and I'd be like, oh, here's a beautiful freaking plate that is amazing. I was trained in, fine dining where I had like this food handling card and there's certain seat positioning and food, and you get 1, 2, 3, 4 food drop-offs, all this different shit. And so I like enjoyed, knowing where the plate went, describing this plate, 4 or 5 ingredients to every single plate, certain things about the wine. I liked it, but when people are rude to me, I'm already emotional, like I said, with the concussions. So it was just tough to deal with. But I still like it. But right now, I'm just like specifically right now, I'm trying to focus on my book.
Yeah. I think it's...
But I did dislocate my shoulder about 2 months ago surfing. And that kind of hurt me because I was food running and doing expo at this restaurant. And when you carry... I was actually okay because when you dislocate your shoulder and you carry 2 plates it's okay. But one of the places I worked had these seafood towers.
God.
And they're 3-story. And with a dislocated shoulder, I just didn't want to dump it on someone's lap.
They're just a little excessive, seafood towers. I'm sorry.
They're beautiful. They're impressive. Good for social media.
They're impressive, but it's just, to me, it's like, it reminds me of McMansions. It's a little gaudy. It's a little over the top, a little showboaty. Hey, everyone, we ordered the seafood tower here. It's a little show-offy, I guess.
Totally. Yeah, it's funny, man. That's how it goes.
So, this book is stunning. Where can our listeners find this book?
I can give you a full breakdown.
Let's give it the breakdown here. So where are they going to find this?
If you're in New York, please stop by Pilgrim Surf Thursday night.
Yes.
Be there from 7 to 9, or 5 to 7, I'm sorry.
And that is the 25th, correct?
The 25th, yes. Thursday, go to Pilgrim Surf. They're all over social media.
Yes.
Go there. They're going to have my book. Also, on Friday, if you're in New York, you can go to Head High.
Yes.
It's a coffee shop / bookshop, and they will have my book as well. I'm be hanging photos from my book. So there'll be a slight difference. I'm doing a book reading on Thursday, some Q&A, some questions, and just kind of sharing some stuff from my book. And then on Friday at Head High, I'll be hanging prints.
And they'll be up for a little while, correct?
Yeah. The photos at Head High will be up for a little bit. I'm not sure how long yet.
And he's right by the Brooklyn Navy Yard for all our listeners, which is awesome.
And also another thing, if you're not in New York, I sell the book through my website, DerekDunfee.com. I'm also in a lot of shops, which I want to actually give a shout out because
go for it.
I went to a lot of these shops and I just said, hey, I made this book myself, and they were very nice and took it in. So is it okay if I give a little plug?
Plug them.
Because surf shops need some love.
This is your chance to whore yourself out.
Okay, so I just want to say thanks for one to Pilgrim Surf Shop, and I'd like to say thanks to Head High. I'd like to say thanks to Heritage in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I'd like to say thanks to NorCal Surf Shop. I'd like to say thanks to where my Surf Ride in San Diego, Warwick's in La Jolla. I'm in Emerald City in Coronado. I am in Freeline in Santa Cruz. There's probably some more. I just don't want to take up too much of your time.
No.
Bird Rock Surf Shop. There's a few more. That's it. I should be better with this. I should be looking at it. I just want to say, go support your local surf shop. And these guys were all very nice. And there's probably some I'm forgetting.
Any surf shop out there that doesn't have this book, you should order it because I think it's a great book to have in the stores. And
if you have some advice on other shops anywhere that might like this, just please reach out to me or you.
Yeah, they can reach out to Swell Season as well.
Yeah, just reach out. I mean, I'm really happy to share this, and I appreciate you guys helping me. And if there's a way I can get it out, I'd be happy.
It's a beautiful book, Derek, and I'm first honored to get a copy. I really